So today I will be presenting the case of Weston versus Cornell University. This case delves into employment contracts and tenures in academic institutions. So Dr. Avery Weston was hired by Cornell University as a tenure-track assistant professor in the Department of Microbiology. When he was hired, he received a letter from Cornell stating the university's tenure review process. This letter indicated that after a probationary period, tenure would be granted if he demonstrated excellence in research, teaching, and service. Weston believed that he met that criteria, and he had secured significant research funding, published numerous articles in prestigious journals, and received positive teaching evaluations. Despite these accomplishments, however, his tenure application was denied after a comprehensive review by the university. Weston argued that his denial was due to the procedural irregularities during the review process. He claimed certain faculty members who were biased against him participated in those reviews and did not give him adequate notice of his deficiencies in the performance. Also, that the university failed to follow its own procedures. But Cornell argued that the tenure decision was based on a thorough and fair review of Weston's performance. They emphasized that tenure decisions are subjective and involve multiple layers of evaluation. The university also argued that there are no enforceable contract guaranteeing tenure, and that even if there were minor procedural deviations, it did not affect the overall integrity of the review process. So when we look at the legal issues, the first one being presented is, was there an enforceable contract between Weston and Cornell University, and did that guarantee tenure if the criteria were met? Second, did Cornell University breach its own tenure review procedures? And third, should the court grant summary judgment in favor of Cornell University? So one of the first rules applied was contract law. An enforceable contract requires an offer, acceptance, and consideration. So employment contracts, especially those about tenure, must have a clear and definite term. Then we look at breach of contract, which occurs when a party fails to perform as agreed in that contract. And the summary of judgment standard is appropriate when there is no genuine issue of material fact, and the moving party is entitled to judgment as a matter of law. So when we apply these, the first we look at is enforceable contract. Weston claimed that the verbal and written assurances from Cornell constituted an enforceable contract guaranteeing tenure. However, the court found that Cornell's tenure criteria were not explicit promises, but rather guidelines. Thus, no enforceable contract guaranteeing tenure was established. As for the breach of tenure, Weston argued that Cornell did not follow its established procedures for tenure, and review pointed out deviations. The court examined these procedural aspects and determined that the deviations were minor and did not amount to substantial breach of the contract. So with the summary of judgment, Cornell argued that there was no genuine issue of material fact regarding the existence of binding contract or the breach. The court assessed whether Weston's claims presented enough factual disputes to warrant a trial and concluded that Weston's claims were not supported by sufficient evidence. So a little bit off topic, there was also a related case, and it was about another professor hired in Cornell in 1998. She was an associate professor, and the offer letter described her position as being tenure was indicated that she could apply for a promotion to full professorship in less than 3 years. However, her submissions for tenure in 2003 and 2005 were unsuccessful, leading to the termination of her employment in 2007. She filed a lawsuit for breach of contract and gender discrimination. Although initially dismissed, the appellate division reversed and reinstated her breach of contract claim. The Supreme Court later dismissed the complaint on collateral estoppel grounds, but the appellate division disagreed, finding that the issues were not actually litigated in the prior proceeding and remanded the matter for further proceedings. So in conclusion, the court ruled in favor of Cornell University, granting summary judgment. The court found out there was no enforceable contract guaranteeing Weston's tenure. The minor procedural deviations in the tenure review process did not constitute a breach of contract. The decision emphasized that tenure policies are typically guidelines rather than binding contracts, unless explicitly stated otherwise, and academic institutions have broad discretion in tenure decisions. In the related case, the appellate division highlighted the importance of ensuring that all relevant issues are fully litigated before applying preclusive doctrines like collateral estoppel. Overall, the Weston v. Cornell University case reaffirms the discretionary natures of tenure evaluations and underscores that need clear contractual terms and employment agreements.